Checking the mic. Checking the mic. Checking the mic. Test 1, 2. Check. Down the microphones.
If it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, it's part of the show.
Black coffee. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee. A damn fine cup of coffee. A damn fine cup of coffee.
Hello, hello, hello. What ho! Welcome back to another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finlay. All right, what we're looking at right here is a shot from Emerald State Beach where I set up. We've got high tide here, and get my handy dandy pointer. All right, we've got Emerald State Beach. We've got Anacapa out here. This is the northern section of the Anacapa archipelago, and let's see, I can't really see to it. Somewhere around here is where the lighthouse is, and then I think if you squint, let me see if I can do a it's kind of like right above this. If I go straight up here, yeah, I can just barely see it. Right there is platform Gina. All right, now you'll see people talk about, oh yeah, when you look out on the horizon, you get a sharp horizon. It's just a sharp line, you know, that you can only get that on a globe Earth, sharp line. Well, that's the limit of your eye, right? So the resolution here is as though you've got this crisp, flat edge with no waves or no undulations, right? If you're looking out here now, well, whatever, I'm not going to get too distracted. All right, I'm just going to go through here. There is, zooming in, that's Gina right there. This is full optical zoom, okay? Full optical zoom. And this is Gina right here. All right, let's do a little blink test because the ballers love to do. Wait a minute. Why can't I make? Wait a minute. We would know exactly the angular size. Okay, so look, there's the center. All right, there. Match that up. That's a little bit maybe. Wait, why? It's not matching up. Okay, let's match up the back. See this little back part right here? This little back part. Let's match that back part up. Wait. Okay. Let's match up the boom out that looks like the nose of a mosquito, right? This is the boom or whatever. This is the methane burner. I do have some images of Gina burning some methane. Okay, so let's line that one up. Can't line that up. Why can't we line any of this stuff up? It's like there's something fighting against our ability to scale this. Can't I scale this? What's the matter with this? I can scale this. Let's all right, that's at least some, yeah. Okay, so on the ball Earth understanding, the reason why you can't see Gina is because she's hidden behind this. All right. But we can clearly see that we have an inferior mirage here. You've got this greater than sign right there. And so then you've got the fold line right there. Now, Rumpus and Ruhif and others will say, well, you can't really tell me that you think that the rest of Gina is all right here in this degree of angle. Well, the problem with what their concept of this image is that they think that they think that the mirage is a 90-degree vertical image. Okay? And they think that this up here, the erect part of the image is to scale. Like there's no distortion here. Like this is exactly the size that it should be at this distance, right? Well, is it possible that there is distortion here? Is it possible that at this distance Gina should actually be this big, and if we had a direct line of sight to her, right, just that's how big she should be, and that's her physical location, right? You know, right here at this distance Gina should be right here, but she's down here. So look, that's curved. That's why, because on a flat earth she would be up here, right? So let me bring in my naked water slide. Okay, so this is like if Gina were proportionally. Okay, Travis, let's see Travis. Have you ever seen Gina like this? Yeah, I have. I've seen Gina just like this, with the water going, and then boop, there she. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Huh? All right. So anyway, just messing around with this a little bit. Okay. So let's keep going, because I wanted to. This is a boat that's going along. Oh, okay, yeah. So you know this crisp. This crisp line isn't so crisp when you zoom in, right? You got waves, you've got mirage, all these kinds of shenanigans, okay? So let's remind ourselves, everyone, what does Andrew Thomas Young say about an inferior mirage at sea? Here is the inferior mirage at sea. This boat is in an inferior mirage. He says that the limit of the inferior mirage creates this horizon. Well, there's no inferior mirage out here, Travis. Yeah, there is. As this boat goes, watch, here we go, you ready? Farther, 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 farther. This boat is going farther away. As it moves, it is moving from here to here to here to here to here to here. It is moving through the medium, and at every point, let's go back, children. Oops, going the other way. Okay, there's Gina. This boat was in front of Gina a few moments ago, and now I'm taking pictures of this boat. This boat is moving, 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 Okay, now look, here we go. Now, you see this thin little strip underneath this boat? Do you know what that is? That's this up here. Because this boat is entirely in an inferior mirage. Okay, that's what that mark is underneath, right? Okay, that little line, that little squiggly line, that's the sky above the boat being miraged down here. Andrew Thomas Young says the limit to this mirage is what creates the limit to this water. Andrew Thomas Young does not say that at sea the limit, or at sea what forms the horizon is curvature. He doesn't say that here. Okay, you have to take these things. Now, I can show you, Travis, where he's talking about the curvature of the horizon, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You can see that over in this reference point. But when he's talking about an inferior mirage at sea, he doesn't talk about Earth curve. He talks about the optical phenomenon. Okay? Now, this boat is moving across. So it is moving through the medium. It is not going to not be in an inferior mirage over here or over here. That means that this entire area here is the condition for an inferior mirage, which means the limit to the mirage creates an apparent horizon, which means the water does not physically stop here. Which means if we could wipe away this mirage, we would see water beyond this boat. Okay? This has been another exciting. I hope it was exciting. I hope this was beneficial. Please give me some feedback. This has been another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time.
us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent? Hello? Financial giants buy up an alliance with laws and right laws of compliance. Titles for hire, privately acquire a proportion of the poor that's supporting them. Library of liars, lifetime suppliers. Get poor and retire all at your expense. Sick and tired of their tripwires. Oh, the cycle of crisis tortures them. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. But people adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead? Hello?
Hey, we got to conquer them all. We got to trample them down. A wicked man must fall. Run them out of the town. When I go take a chat, tell them to deal with that. And when I go take a check in their political mess.
Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent?
It's not me, yeah.
We thank for queues at the food bank.
I don't know.
Who do we thank for rescuing huge banks?
I really don't know.
Who do we thank for the brand new jabs?
I said I really don't know.
Who do we thank for the breakout in Wuhan? I hope it's all gone to plan. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead?
It's not me, it's not me.
Anyone? Lionel?
Nobody
Anyone?
not today, man. You expect anybody to come save you?
Hello and welcome back to another exciting adventure of theaetherband.com. I'm your host, Travis Finley. We're going to take a look at this article written by Andrew Thomas Young and Eric Frappa. Mirages at Lake Geneva, the Fata Morgana. Fata Morgana mirages are frequently seen at Lake Geneva. We show the first photographs of them, including real-time video, and explain their main features, which are due to the very turbulent entrainment zones of capping inversions, especially in valley circulations. Entrainment. The act or fact of trapping bubbles in a liquid. Okay, so talking about trapping turbulence in a zone, right? The band, or as Wegener calls it, the duct. Okay. The term Fata Morgana is widely used for vivid superior mirages, showing rapidly changing multiple images, often mistaken for architectural objects like towers. Series of pilasters, which are columns ornately decorated with capitals at the top, and regular columns, aqueducts, and multi-storied structures such as castles, palaces, monuments, skyscrapers, apartment blocks, or pueblos. These phenomena have never been explained in a fully consistent way. The standard reference is Pertner and Exner, who cited one review but missed another. These works preceded the development of boundary layer meteorology, so their attempts to explain these mirages are obsolete today. And all that boundary layer meteorology really means is that they are analyzing the conditions of the medium with temperature, wind, pressure, and the gradients. Farrell criticized the insufficient and contradictory reports on which this is based. New observations made with modern equipment must be combined with realistic atmospheric models to understand Fata Morganas. The name Fata Morgana was first used for mirages in the Strait of Messina, but they are also seen throughout southern Italy, at Lake Geneva, and elsewhere. And elsewhere being right here in good old Havre de Grace, Maryland, on the Chesapeake Bay, March 22nd, 2021 at 1300. As well, I've captured the Fata Morgana in 2020 January with 2 different captures. Absolutely stellar footage. And as only 15 displays were reported from 1643 to 1943, so what's that, 260 years? 260 years? Okay, 15 reports in 260 years. While Farrell saw them 400 or 500 times in a few decades at Lake Geneva, we decided to repeat and extend his work here. Unfortunately, some German writers have applied the name Fata Morgana to other refraction phenomena, such as looming and even to ordinary inferior mirages. Now, if you have followed any of my posts recently, that is exactly what I am doing. And I think, demonstrating my reasons for doing that. So we'll see what happens in the rest of this article. I am interested to find out exactly what their criticisms are. Okay? Early, or rather old, Italian observations. The earliest Italian reports are from the 16th century. And sometimes you will see cities and castles and towers and sheep and different colored cattle and images of specters or some other things, but there is no city, no sheep, and not even a thorn bush. In the first account of a specific display, A previous reference included the description, thousands of pilasters, all equal in altitude, distance, and degree of light and shade, followed by castles and towers, colonnades. Manasseh's classical review was garbled in translations. The phrase alleys of trees was actually very tall trees. Manasseh's monograph is more informative than the brief excerpt considered by later writers would suggest. In particular, he notes that fata morganas are visible during the months of late spring and summer, the usual superior mirage season, when the water, still cold from the winter, helps produce low-level thermal inversions. Pertner and Exner reviewed the visual observations up to about a century ago, pointing out that the most reliable of the older accounts is certainly Giovine's. However, they failed to correct an earlier error in translating his original report from Italian to German. Charles Dufour discovered, during a year's daily observations, the Fata Morgana displayed occurring at Lake Geneva. All right, so here we got this fantastic. This is exactly what I had in. Exactly. Look at all this compression up here. Oh, so I am very, very interested as to whether or not they are going to suggest that the shoreline is up here, because that is my interpretation. This is an inferior mirage. This is dropping the image down. The shoreline is not down here. The shoreline is not being lifted up and compressed up here. So, you know, you're looking at more landscape. Beautiful. This is a beautiful shot. But everything here is compressed. Look at this building right here is compressed. And all down here, exactly what I saw. Exactly what I saw. Okay, but all of these things, this is an inferior mirage, meaning the image is below the erect. Okay, all right. A Fata Morgana mirage at Montreux, Switzerland. The mirage objects are 29 kilometers from the camera at the left side, and 29 kilometers, oh, that's just 0.3 of a kilometer difference. The striated zone contains a, there we go, everyone, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. Okay, listen, this is exactly what my thesis is challenging. The striated zone contains a vertically stretched 3-image mirage. No, it does not. No, it does not. This image is not vertical. It is not vertical. And this is exactly the confirmation that I need to understand that my interpretation of the things up until this point, because I've never seen it declared, this is the first time I've seen that these images are interpreted as being vertical. And so I have just absolute confidence in the fact that I am on the right track. Thank you so much for participating in my channels. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, and share, and share. Let's get this information out so that we can have a broad line discussion on these matters. I have been your host, Travis Finley. Until next time. P.S. So I was going to put this image in as a still for you guys to look at yourselves, but it didn't render as good as I would have liked it to, and so I'm just going to try to walk through this really quickly in terms of what I am suggesting now. I have been a bit aggressive with my suggestion that there are no Fata Morganas, there are no superior mirages. That has been intentionally aggressive, and you know, there are certain images that I've looked at where I'm like, ugh, that is just like, that looks exactly like they're describing it. However, what I will say is, in these cases that I'm showing with this image here, with the platform Gale image, with the footage that I just got this week, that footage that I just got this week confirms what I have been saying about the Fata Morgana insofar as my footage is to be analyzed. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is just run through this real quick so that this isn't too tedious. Okay, this is me with my claim. If the limit of the inferior mirage at sea forms the apparent horizon, then is it not plausible for the conditions of the medium to be such that the inferior mirage presents the same effect as that of the superior / Fata Morgana, except superior mirages don't exist? Travis Finley, March 21st, 2021. Okay, over here on the left is the accepted science that this is a superior mirage Fata Morgana. Okay, from the bottom up, this is the erect image. This is the physical location, the erect image. This is the inverted image. It is flipped upside down, and then it is reverted back on itself. Okay, what I've done is I've overlaid an actual photograph that I took of Gina within, I would say, 100 yards, maybe a little bit more, but very, very close. Okay, so we have the physical erect image flipped upside down and then represented back up. Okay, this is the scientific explanation for what we're having here. The physical image is down here, representing itself twice above. Superior mirage. This is my educated guess. This is an inferior mirage with a fully exposed image, inverted and then reverted. So all I'm doing is reversing the interpretation. This up here, this is the erect image. This is an inverted image, which makes this an inferior mirage. And then it is reverted back up. Now, one of the reasons why I put this out here is because of what Andrew Thomas Young tells us about the limit of the inferior mirage. Okay, this is not the location of the limit of the water. The water is not limited here physically. It is optical. It is apparent. The actual water limit is up here. We cannot see it because this is the aether band. All right, all of this right here is where Mistress Aether Band is dancing for us. And I love her. I love her. All right, there we go. That has been another exciting explanation by yours truly, Travis Finley. Until next time. the water all the way to the shoreline. And then right in the water, you got the Mirage. That's about what I can see with my naked eye. Look, it just collapses. We'll up to zoom on the house. What's happening out here again? I need more cameras, people. Oh my gosh, this thing is still going on.
You're going too fast, Dad.
Hello, 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 what ho! Welcome back to another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. We are going to be continuing our investigation into my claim that superior mirages and Fata Morganas are misclassified inferior mirages. All mirages are inferior mirages. There are no superior mirages. There are no Fata Morganas as they have been described to us. They are misclassified. This article here is from Andrew Thomas Young, and it is an article from 2017 that he co-wrote with Eric Frappa. A Fata Morgana mirage. Now I'm going to jump real quick over to a Fata Morgana is a complex form of superior mirage that is seen in a narrow band. Look, they use my term band. All right, so I'm not going to go through all of this. It goes through a little bit of the history. Fata Morgana mirages significantly distort the object or objects. Yep, that's true. That's true. Fata Morganas can be seen in land and sea, polar regions, or in deserts. That's true. That's true. Now, I am happy to say that in March, I think March 22nd or somewhere around there, I captured my first Fata Morgana here in Maryland on the Chesapeake Bay, and it was absolutely just a thrill to have caught that. So I've caught Fata Morgana on the Channel Islands in California and also here in Maryland. These phenomena can happen anywhere. Often it says a Fata Morgana changes rapidly. I have not seen that. I have not seen the Fata Morgana change rapidly. I have seen a lot of turbulence in the air that moves quite quickly through the air, but the image itself does not change rapidly. The mirage comprises several inverted and erect images that are stacked one on another. The Fata Morgana mirages also show alternating compressed and stretched zones. Okay, so all of those things I would agree with. The mirage usually, it doesn't, I don't know why it says several. It should just say 3 because I've never seen more than 3. Usually the mirage is just an inverted image. However, the Fata Morgana reverts the inverted image. Okay, so it flips it upside down and then flips it back right side up. Okay, so that was about as brief. I think I might come back to this in a moment, but let's go on to this. A Fata Morgana mirage of Montreux, Switzerland. The mirage objects are 29 kilometers away. The striated zones contain vertically stretched 3-image mirage. So this is the point that got me all excited, is that it says the striated zone contains a vertically stretched image. Okay, that is the challenge that I am posing to this science. This is not a vertical image. This boat is a vertical image. But as we look over the water to that boat, we're not looking vertically, we're looking along an axis. The x-axis. We have the y-axis, and then we have the x-axis, which is depth, and then the other 3-dimensional space out here that we can't see necessarily is the z-axis, which is the zenith, right? So it's like this image of the sail. Right, this is a vertical image. This sail is vertical. However, this vertical image is not what is happening here. Just as we are looking over the distance here to this boat, and from this boat to this boat, you are not looking at a 90-degree image. And then from this boat over to the shoreline, which is the shoreline is all the way up here in my interpretation of this, according to me, this is my opinion. This is a horizontal observation along the x-axis of depth. So when you are in this boat and you're looking and you come to this spot visually, you don't start looking vertically as you would at this sail. You are looking continually over the distance, but the kaleidoscopic nature of this phenomenon gives it the appearance of a 90-degree image. Okay, and that's what I am here to challenge and debunk. All right. Where am I going to go from here? I don't know. I just started doing this and thought, well, let's see what happens. So let's go to one of my first images of a Fata Morgana. This is, I can never remember what this island is called. I think it's Santa Cruz. I can never remember. But this is the island that is north of Anacapa. Anacapa's over to the left. Turn that down. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to notice now what we don't have in this image is we don't have this wispy ghost of the phenomenon above the apparent horizon. Okay, so in this one here we have this wispy lost smoke monster looking above the apparent horizon. This is the apparent horizon. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest here is that these are the conditions for a Fata Morgana. And as we're looking over the distance here of the water, and we get to this point right here, we are not looking up. We are looking over the distance. This is where the water line hits the island physically. This is where the physical water line is. This apparent horizon here, this limit to the visible water is created by the mirage. What kind of a mirage is this? It is an inferior mirage. Okay? And what I'm going to suggest is that the topography that we see up here, we will see mirrored down here. Now, the one thing that we need to consider is, do we consider this a Fata Morgana? Yes or no? Let's say yes. Okay? So, if this is a Fata Morgana and I can establish that the topography of the island up here is mirrored below, this is then an inferior mirage. Therefore, this is not a superior Fata Morgana. So what I'm suggesting then is that if the same phenomenon is happening in my image on the Channel Islands, then this image here is an inferior mirage. This is not the shoreline down here being stretched up here. This landscape here is just like the island. This is the physical landscape, and then right here is where the shoreline is. And right here we have this kaleidoscopic three-dimensional presentation of this, and this is not a vertical image. It is not straight up and down. We would see, if we put someone on a boat right here, they would be distant from the shoreline. Okay? So this is going to be distance. Just like this is distant to this boat, and this boat is distant to this location. This again is, it bears repeating. So I'm at 11 minutes so far. I want to try to keep this short. So this is my thesis. The image of an inferior mirage presents itself along the x-axis. Therefore, there is physical distance from the vanishing line to the limit of the mirage, for which account must be taken. Okay? So, in this footage right here, The physical is up here. The mirage. This is like the topography here. The topography here is like the tree. I want you to start to think of a mirage like a shadow. This shadow of the tree is not vertical. It is along the x-axis. And that is exactly what the mirage is doing below the tree. Okay? This part right here is being mirrored right here, reflected down here. Okay? This part right here is right here. This part right here is right here. And you can see that the ghost monster is dissipating a little bit right here. It's thinning out. Okay, but this is an inferior mirage of the physical island here. This dark part right here is right here. This part right here is physical. This part right here is not. This is the inverted image of that part of the island right there. Okay? This part right here, this is a physical island here. This is the reflection of this physical island here. The island stops right here. This is the top of the island right here. Top of the island right here. So this is the inverted image, and then look, it comes down and then comes back out again. So we have the erect image, inverted image, reverted image. This is the condition which creates a three-tiered mirage. However, it is not a superior mirage. If we wanted to see more of this mirage, we would have to elevate our observation. And this part here would then grow in, it would come closer to us. This apparent horizon would move closer to us, and we would see more of this sky like we're seeing it right here. Okay, so the conditions itself create the ability to see a three-tiered image. Normally with an inferior mirage, you only have the physical image and the inverted image here. But because the conditions are right, it's the depth of the mirage is more extreme, and so you're able to get another inversion. Okay? Now, this image here, this ghost monster here is the water. This here is the mirage image of the sky here. Okay? This is not sky. Just like right here is not sky. That's not, this is like looking on a hot road and seeing what appears to be water. It is the sky that's being reflected on the hot road. That's why it looks blue. Okay, so the entire platform is here. Everything is right here. This entire platform is compressed, and you can go back to my other videos where I have the full 50 minutes of this. I also have a breakdown of it in smaller sections. But at the end of this video clip, you will see the sky through the legs of Platform Grace here. Okay? So everything that Platform Grace is right here. Nothing is missing. Okay? So what is this? This is an inferior mirage. The other category that is misclassified is what is called towering. Normally, this would be interpreted as a towering image because it is thought that this image here is apparent and it belongs down here. Why? Well, because we see the horizon right here. And we know that the platform is not that tall. All right? And I do have images where the platform is stretched apparently vertically, but this, again, this is not a vertical image. This is distance. Distance, 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 distance. In the other images that I have of these platforms, I don't have the smoke monster. Okay, and if I didn't have the smoke monster in this footage, I would probably still believe in towering. Okay, but it's because of this that I was able to adjust my category that I had adopted because of what the other science says. And again, in my opinion, that science is 100% incorrect. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is show you evidence that the inferior mirage is what is presented here, because here we have Battery Island, here we have the shoreline, and what we're going to see in the footage is that the mirage develops below. Okay, we're going to see the shoreline, we're going to see this shoreline magnified in a kaleidoscopic presentation, and it drops. Okay, so this is an inferior mirage, but these are the conditions that present what's interpreted as a Fata Morgana, which is a subset of the superior mirage. So I didn't know what I was capturing this day. I'm just going to start to move this timestamp up. All right, right here we start to see the development, and it drops below the physical location. It stretches the beach. Okay, you can see the beach here. You can see the beach here growing. The thing that I want to know is, you know, like this guy out here had no clue he was in a phenomenon. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy. To me, he's just fishing, going about his business. But again, the shoreline is dropping below and growing. Okay, so this is an inferior mirage. Okay? Alright, so that is that one. The other thing that I want to show you now is this is the same day, a different observation point. Okay, so now what we just watched was, we just watched the one beach with Battery Island, right? So this is the same phenomenon. The beach on Battery Island dropped down. This beach is not this large. It is very tight, right up here. Very, very tight. Now, in the next 3 minutes, when I play this, you're going to see the water come in, and this entire beach is going to disappear and go back up. Okay, so this is an inferior mirage of the shoreline up here. Okay? All right, here comes the water from the right side of the video. So this is like the smoke monster in my previous image, my previous footage. Alright, so the smoke monster came in and completely disappeared the Mirage. Okay? So what we have right now we can see this thin strip. This is the beach. But we saw earlier that it was stretched down. Now what has come in, the development of the conditions have swept across from south to north, and the water has revealed itself to be where it always was. So just like, okay, according to Andrew Thomas Young, this is a vertically stretched image. No, it is not. It is a horizontally stretched image across distance. Across distance. Okay? So just like we're looking at distance here to here to here to here, when the water comes in, all right, the water has now come in. So this is not vertical. This isn't vertical. This is distance. All the way, distance. Okay? Now the beauty of this entire session that I had, I can't remember if it was an hour or a little bit more than an hour, is that this stuff happened over and over and over again. The Mirage would come back, it would disappear, and I just kept moving my camera as it continued to sweep across this portion of the Chesapeake Bay. Okay? So there we go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again for another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time.
totally was filming the wrong.
Hello, hello, hello. What ho! Welcome back to another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. We are continuing to look at the footage that I have of a capture here on the Chesapeake Bay, otherwise known as Bigfoot. No, I'm just kidding. But it's, I think, more exciting than Bigfoot. These are video captures of what are commonly known as Fata Morganas or Fata Bramosas, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as this series goes on, or whatever this is that I'm trying to put together for you guys with footage that I look through and try to find things that are going to be able to demonstrate the claims that I'm making that will ultimately require the science of these refraction phenomena to be reclassified. And so I would appreciate any feedback that you guys can give me in this way to help me clarify what I'm saying, or solidify what I'm saying, even maybe think about how to help me verify some of the things, because that's what it's going to take. And I can't do it on my own. I just can't do this on my own. I don't want to do this on my own, because there are certain people in this discussion that are more astute in other areas than I am, and I welcome their participation and contribution. So you guys know who you are. This video is playing just from one of the observations made on March 22nd. This is what I call my 3 mile house, because it's a house and it's 3 miles away. But this was just playing in the background whilst I gave a little bit of an intro. Alright, so what we have here is the distance from my position to the observation out here. This is the band of activity. Okay, so the height that we see here is going all the way across. It just depends on what's happening in this band. What I'm going to suggest right now is that the height of what is the lightest color of blue, this is the shoreline up here. Okay, so we can see the dynamic activity in the ether band here, which is dissipating and undulating and ebbing and flowing. We don't really have anything going on right here, and then all of a sudden we see this wispiness come in, and then it's a little bit more solid, and then it breaks up. Okay, so we're just going to see how this goes. We can see it breaking up. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest here is that as we move from left to right, right here, this is reality here. This is water. You see this water? There's nothing unreal about this water. This is water that is in the band of activity, and that band is breaking up here, dissipating. Okay, but we have the landscape here behind it. All right, so here, this is a lot like the platform grace that we've seen before. This is the mirage. This is simply a refraction phenomenon. It is not a mirage, because this is the water, right? This is the water, this is the water, this is the water, this is the water. Water is right here, and the mirage, then we see the mirage breaking through here. Okay? All right, so now This is the distant shoreline 5.85 miles away of the Red Point Lighthouse Airbnb. This is an Airbnb that you can rent for almost $500 a night. This little narrow rectangle splinter is the pavilion, and what we see right here is the shoreline in the FATA Morgana. Okay, this is not the physical location of the shoreline. The shoreline is up here. It is being represented in the phenomenon. Okay, let me see real quick if in this file I've got my house. I don't. So what I'll do is just jump back here real quick. Okay, this is the house right here. Okay, see the house? This is the house right here, but it's very, 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 very tiny because of the phenomenon. Okay, but you can see the shoreline here. The way that this phenomenon has been misinterpreted is because they see what they think is the shoreline here, and you've got the shoreline here. They think that this is the shoreline, so they then call this a superior mirage because it is being stretched up. That is not my position. My position is the opposite. That is that the shoreline is all the way up here, and that what we see below the image is the refraction phenomenon. Okay. I'm just going to let this play because it's important to just take in everything that we're seeing here, and I might be able to see something more as this goes on. But all right here, this is where the houses are. Okay, the houses are not down here being stretched up here. This is just like when we see this phenomenon dissipate and break up, this is not going to drop down because this was stretched up. Okay, the phenomenon happens in the air over the water here. Okay, this is not a vertical image. This is along the x-axis. Okay, so this boat looks like it is close to the shoreline. This is not the shoreline. This is not the shoreline. The shoreline is up here. You can see the band here. You can see the band this entire way. All the way right here, that's the band. Up here, we have refraction happening, but it's not the refraction phenomenon that's creating this band right here. Okay? So this boat would have more water behind it going into the distance and apparently rising to eye level. Okay? Just like this is going in distance, 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 distance here. Then we're going to rise in elevation here. But this whole time here, we're not rising in elevation. We are not rising. We are not rising in elevation. This is not a vertical image. Right here is where the shoreline happens, and then if we want to go in elevation, we now look up higher. Okay? just to make note that I have changed the levels on this for a little bit more stark contrast. All right, in a moment, you're going to see a still panel come down here. I took 4 panels of this water tower all the way down to the shoreline when we had a clear line of sight to the shoreline. The shoreline is not going to be down here. It's going to be up here. And just keep this in mind a little bit. My position is that the refraction phenomenon is projecting the shoreline toward the observer into the observer's proximity, apparently. I mean, there's more investigation to happen this way, but again, this is not a vertical image. This is coming out into our proximity in real life. And so I'll just... Alright, that should be full optical zoom. Okay, so right about now, because I don't have the upper shot here, hold on real quick, let me make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so you can just now see the same water tower that was right here. So this boat is now making its way across. So I would say the boat was out here somewhere. Okay, and then you would have more distance behind it. But here you can clearly see the line of the shoreline. Now, when we get right here, you're going to see these sections of dark and then light brown and then dark and then light brown and then dark and light. That is the shoreline with intermittent shrubberies. You know, that's all I can say. I've never been over here, but the light part looks to be sand, and then there's a dark part, which to me could very well just simply be bushes and shrubs. Okay, so just take that for what it's worth at the moment. And here we go. All right, so now you can see when I was sitting here on this day, these images were taken last week. This image is taken on March 22nd. And when I looked up and saw this is what I normally see. I normally see a very acute presentation of the shoreline when there is no inferior mirage going on. Okay, but this is a direct line of sight down to the shoreline here. So this right here is somewhere in this shoreline area, but very acute and very small. So this is much, much larger. You can imagine when I saw this, I was very impressed by it, but I wasn't fooled by it because this is not the way it normally presents itself. Now, the difficulty in this image is in what has happened to these buildings here. I have other images where I can, show you shots of these buildings, but we can't see these buildings very clearly. My position is that they are up right here in this angle, tightly compressed, absolutely tightly compressed. And we'll see as we go through these observations, demonstrations of the line being so tight that you can't distinguish what's happening there. So, but you can see what I meant by these intermittent stretches. I don't know what these are. And then this looks like beach, this looks like beach. So I'm just calling these possibly, some sort of foliage or whatnot. But this is being magnified and extended out. So here it is physically, and in the mirage, it's being extended out here somewhere. Okay, so this is not a 90-degree image. If we could wipe this away, we would see water all the way to the shoreline, which is something I've been saying for 2 years at least. The coloring of the sand right here is a little bit different. This was taken later in the evening. But what I want to suggest is that this entire area right here is up here, and it's being depressed down here. Okay? It's not being compressed, it's being depressed. All right, so now what we have here is this tree right here is this tree right here. There's a car parked right here by this tree. That tree's right here. And you've got this little grassy area with the beach below it. And this is all right here. Okay? So this is being depressed down. This is an inferior mirage. This is why the Fata Morgana and the Fata Brumosa have to be reclassified. This is not going up. This is going down and out. Apparently down and out. Okay? All right, so now what we have going on here is what Andrew Thomas Young and others called striations. That is, that these are stretched images. These are striations. But again, these are being stretched down, okay, because this is where the more stable erect image is, and everything below it is being depressed down and out into the distance, even though it apparently looks to us like it is a straight line up and down, right? It's a vertical image. No, it is not. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do right now is just bring up the images from the article that we'll look at in just a moment with Eric Frappa and Andrew Thomas Young. Okay, so this is a 3-panel display of Eric Frappa's footage on Lake Geneva of this phenomenon, okay? The top image gives us a more stable image, okay? So if this is the stable image, we want to take note of how it appears. We've got this extension of land here. We have an extension of land here. We've got the water. We've got a roadway here. We've got this land, this shoreline here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, just by way of contrast, is to show you that up here is the shoreline. Okay, so we're going to put the shoreline right here. Okay, or not the shoreline. I mean this is the beginning of the event, the beginning of the phenomenon here. Okay, but the shoreline is not down here. This is where the event begins. So we're going to put the stability up at that height right there. Okay. So in the second image here, in the second image here, we start to see instability in the middle and down here, right? See here, you've got no instability. Here you have distortion. Now, again, we don't know the time marker for this, but there's not a boat here. There is now a boat here. Here, there's a different boat, okay? So, if we're going to put the stable image up here, where there's the land, then we're going to have to do that again here, okay? So that below this image we've got activity because this boat is distorted and this land is distorted. Even though above the land here we have distortion here, that's not what we're really concerned about because of the phenomenon that happens at the shoreline. That's what my concern is. Although the others are interesting aspects. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back up. Again, we're keeping the shoreline here. Okay, so here's the shoreline again. We have massive compression, right? So let's think about this for just a moment. If I showed you this image and then showed you this image and asked you which image is farther away, you would have to say that this image, because it's smaller with angular size, this must be farther away. But these are all the same distances, so this is being massively compressed. Okay, but again, we're going to keep it up here, right? See that? We're keeping the event right here, and then everything below it, this is below the event. This is a inferior mirage. These are inferior mirages. Now, the thing that's going to have to be flexible in your mind is, and it shouldn't, if you didn't have a dog in this fight, that is, if you were just simply interested in this phenomenon as a phenomenon, you should be open-minded. Okay? Because if you suggest it could be one way, let's say for instance you suggest a superior mirage, and I suggest an inferior mirage, what this image is presenting to us is what is typically understood to be a superior mirage, because it is believed that this is the erect image down here. This is the physical image down here. If we take this all the way across, right there, boom, we're right there at the jetty, or whatever this is, okay? However, if we look up here, we can see the shoreline, and if we look right here, we can see the shoreline. So it's very possible that this is the erect image, this is the inverted image, and this is the image reverted down here. And you can clearly see the band right there. Now, what is this? What's this right here? It's my position that this is this up here being kaleidoscopically projected out here. Okay? Now, it seems to me that there's a person here, there's a person here. We can see the red here, we can see the red here, we can see the red here. Now again, it's my position that the reality is up here and it's being inverted, reverted, and then stretched down here, bonk, okay? Again, this is the reality up here. This is the reality up here. Right there. Okay? and this is the reality right here. That means that everything that's down here, is the apparition. This is an apparition. Everything below this physical boat here, apparition. So that if we sent the person out to this location and then waited for this phenomenon to disappear, that person in the boat here would stay here, and this image would then go back up to right here, back up to its rightful place, and you'd have two different boats in two different places. You would not have the boat we sent out here and the boat that's here, because this is an inferior mirage and not a superior mirage. Okay? So what I want to do right now is try to apply this same idea here with another image. This is a different perspective. Actually, I think this is image of Montreux, Switzerland. I'm guessing that this is still Lake Geneva, just a different observation. Okay? So, up here, this is the shoreline. This is the shoreline. This is the shoreline here. Now, this, of course, is easier to see because it's closer to us. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the shoreline is up here, and all of this activity is apparently below. This is not a 90-degree angle. Okay, this boat, again, this boat is just like this boat. This is the physical location of the boat. It's being depressed. You can even see the band right here. This is the physical location of the boat. This is being depressed. This is what I mean when I say all mirages are inferior mirages. This is an inferior mirage. 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 Okay, so to be clear, I'm not talking about shenanigans that are happening up here, over here, or whatever. That stuff still needs to be analyzed, but I'm talking about these observations that I'm making and can correlate and corroborate with the footage that I've taken. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this up here. Here's the shoreline again. All right, shoreline is up here, shoreline is up here. All of the activity is happening below. This activity is happening below. Okay, this is, let me do this. All right. The shoreline is right here. The shoreline is right here. Below the shoreline, the activity is happening. Below the shoreline, the activity is happening. This is an inferior mirage. It is not being, the shoreline is not down here being superiored up here and then smooshed up here. This is not being smooshed up. It is being compressed here, but the image of this is below. This is an inferior mirage. Okay, now I'll bring this over to this right here somewhere, because again, right, this is where the hotel is, or whatever this is, the Chateau Marmont. Right, here is the shoreline, right here. Here's the shoreline, and here's the wonkiness. So just like this is being projected down, this is being projected down, and this is being projected and magnified out towards us, because this is not a 90-degree angle. Okay? All right, so I read through a bit of this earlier today. Didn't take any notes, so I'm going to go back to reading this real quick, just to give us some correlation. Let's see. Okay, I'll just do this. We begin with a view of Montreux, Switzerland. Okay. As Farrell says, the striated zone of the Fata Morgana is very remarkable and its appearance is characteristic. It is limited below by the plane of the lake, which forms its lower edge. Above, by a line more or less well drawn, generally horizontal. These two lines are ordinarily parallel. The alternating bright and dark stripes, diversely colored, now broad, now narrow, irregular, are perfectly vertical. This is incorrect. I don't know. I don't know which one's more significant. You tell me. Which one is more significant? That these mirages are not superior mirages, but inferior mirages, or that the mirages are not vertical. But you can clearly see here that Farrell and then Andrew Thomas Young, parroting Farrell, believes that these are vertical images. Perfectly vertical. No, they are not. No, they are not. Above this zone, the coast is strongly depressed and the features of its landscapes are altered. The dimensions are reduced as the ordinary refractions over cold water. Now, the problem with that statement of cold water is I didn't have cold water on March 22nd. The water was probably in the 50s, upper 50s, if not into the 60s. And I have a thermometer reading of it. But so let's go back to this real quick. Let me pull up this other image right here. Okay. No, that's not the image I wanted. Where's my... Okay. All right, here we are back again. I'm going to try to do this again with this insert walking us through the typical Fata Morgana, okay? We begin with this is the view of Montreux. We begin with the view of Montreux. This is about 29 kilometers away. Okay, the striated zone. Okay, this is the striated zone right here. These striations of images that are going apparently up and down. Okay. As Farrell says, the striated zone of the Fata Morgana is very remarkable and its appearance characteristic. It is limited below, right here, it is limited below by the plane of the lake which forms its lower edge. This is the reveal that they believe that this is where the shoreline is, because this is a superior mirage. Now, I've made this statement before, and maybe I'll just bring it up again. Okay. This is another paper by Andrew Thomas Young. Okay, Andrew Thomas Young. This is what Andrew Thomas Young says about the inferior mirage. The lower edge of an inferior mirage at sea forms the apparent horizon. Okay? This is not what they believe is happening here. So, if this is an inferior mirage, then the lower edge of the inferior mirage forms the apparent horizon. Okay? This is not what they believe. They believe that this is a superior mirage. So they believe that the limit is up here. They believe the limit is up here. Okay? The Fata Morgana is limited below by the plane of the lake. No, that is incorrect. This is incorrect. Okay? These two lines are normally parallel. This line up here, this line down here. The alternating bright and dark stripes, diversely colored, now broad, now narrow, irregular, are perfectly vertical. No, they are not. This is not a vertical image. But their contours are indefinite, and they do not have the sharpness of real objects visible on the coast itself. Well, where's the coast, gentlemen? Is the coast down here, or is the coast up here? They just said that the coast, the real objects on the coast, have sharpness to them. Okay, so it's my understanding, based on what they're saying right here, that they believe that the coast is down here. But I don't believe that this description matches what they're showing here. Okay. Above this zone, right? Above this zone, the coast is strongly depressed, and the features of its landscapes are altered. The vertical dimensions there are reduced as in the ordinary refractions over cold water. The vertical dimensions. This is not a vertical image. Okay. All right. I'm just going to go through this. Farrell frequently mentions the concave appearance of the lake when the water is colder than the air, even without a Fata Morgana. And Brandeis had previously noticed that a concave appearance of the sea accompanied strong looming. Now, this idea of concavity and looming happens when you see farther than normal, okay? When you see farther than normal. Now, I've been showing images like this for over 2 years and explaining that looming is simply seeing farther. Nothing is being brought up from behind the curve. The refraction phenomenon, let me say that again, the refraction phenomena have simply been misinterpreted. Looming and concavity are misinterpretations of the observation that we're making. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Okay. So in these 3 images, these are all the same focal length, height, and distance. Okay. So why are we seeing the shoreline here? In the world of a globe Earth, this shoreline is, let's say, see this, I'll just say this building, okay, because we might not know what it is. This is a house right here. Let's just do that. This house is actually right here in the globe model, okay? So we can't see it here because it's behind the curve. This has to be curved. This has to be curved. This cannot be an effect of refraction. This cannot be an effect of refraction. So, in the globe Earth model, this is looming because this is actually right here. It's behind the water. Well, why can't you see it here? Well, it's behind the water. No, it's right up here. It's right up here. Why can't you see it? Because this is an inferior mirage and it is obstructing. Not only is this an inferior mirage, this is also being loomed up here. This is proximate looming. This is not super looming rumpus. This is just looming. Maybe this is super duper ooper looming. Oompa loompa looming. Okay? You can't deny me proximate looming because we're talking about the same effect, just explaining it in different causation. Okay? Now, the thing about this is that each of these, you can't scale these up. I can't scale this landscape with this landscape and this landscape. It's not going to match. Everything is going to be, something is going to be cattywampus out of this. Okay, so look at the acute angle here, and then look at the obtuse angle here. there's more of an obtuse angle, but everything is still right here. This house is still right here. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Okay? This is distance, 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 distance. The house is going to be right here. Okay? Everything right here is right here. Anyway, this is what is normally attributed as concavity and or looming, because it appears like the landscape is being lifted up like a concave surface. No, it's not being. This is just being kaleidoscopically, three-dimensionally zoomed back. All of this is up for grabs right now. Okay, I am the one calling this out, and it's only going to be satisfied with an intense commission in terms of investigating this. Okay, so I know that this is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to try to wrap this up real quick. Yeah, real quick, whatever. Okay, the concave appearance is not obvious in Figure 1, but can be shown using the sailboat. Okay, so here we go. Figure 1, using the sailboat. So he believes that this is a demonstration of concavity. Up, right? Concave. No. Concave. No. This is not concavity. Okay? You were just simply seeing distance, 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 distance. Everything here. This is a three-dimensional optical refraction phenomenon. Okay, let me go back down and just read it again. The concave appearance is not obvious, but can be shown by using the sailboat, because we know the sailboat's dimensions. From the known scale of the image, we find that the boat is 2.3 kilometers from the camera. Now, okay, what he's done now is he's pulled a mathematical wizard trick on us and said, because we can scale this, we know how tall the mast is, we can scale this, this is 2.43 kilometers. How did you verify that? Oh, I just did the maths. Great, I'm glad. I'm glad you did the maths. Thanks for doing that. How did you verify that this boat was 2.43? Now, he might be right, and I would shake his hand. Great job. Good. Appreciate that. But the only thing he has to offer us right now is maths. Okay? We know the sailboat's dimensions. The length of this mainsail is 7.6 meters. From the known scale of the image, we find that this boat is 2.4 kilometers from the camera. That is all done by maths. Also, the apparent horizon at the lower edge of the striated zone is 7.2 arc minutes above the boat's waterline. See, I think that this should be vertical, not horizontal. So I think what he's saying, if we turn this vertically and put it right here and then dropped it down here, then it would be like the 7 point whatever. I don't know. This is why I need other people like Gleam and Data. Need you guys, man. Okay? If the lake surface were flat, the dip of the water line would be 6.2. See, this is all maths. This is all maths. As seen from the camera height. So the apparent angle between the boat's waterline and the far shore would be 5.7 arc minutes. So the lake appears to be concave. Not to me it doesn't. Not to me it doesn't. This is not appearing to go up. The reason why he's saying that is because he is assuming this is a vertical image. He's assuming this is vertical. Distance, 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 distance. Shoreline, elevation. Okay? Now, I'm going to have to stop this and just make these piecemeals, okay? But this is what it is. It is what it is, people. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has been another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time. Hello, hello, hello. What-ho! Welcome back. Alright, so just real quick, I've got an echo in my... can you guys hear me? Alright, so... I'm going to check and see. Why do I have an echo in my head? Yep. Yep. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, you guys can hear me. Alright, thanks so much for hanging out for these past 2 hours and 40 minutes. There was a lot of good shit in this presentation. So I'm going to break these up into their individual video components. I really don't know why. I guess, why is this? I wonder if it's getting in both my snowball mic and let's see. Let me turn this off. Check, check, check. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Alright, so check and see. Why do I have an echo in my head? Yep. Hold on while I figure this out. Okay, you guys can hear me. Alright, thanks so much for hanging out for these past 2 hours. Yep. Hold on while I figure this out. Okay, you guys can hear me. Yeah, oh well. This is at the end, so whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I'm going to break these down into their individual video components and put them up separately. So, any hooskies, thanks so much, everybody. A Man Like Me, Dan the Waterman, everybody else, John Sudlick, and Ephesians, and the 7 of you who are out there, Mobius, if you're there still, and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, okay. Long time, been sitting. I got to get up and walk around. And okay. Thanks so much for being a part of this extra exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time.